All right, here we are at Blue Sox Academy here in the Sangertown Mall. I am Brian Ingalls.
Tom Bogart, co-host of DaddyBall podcast. Brian?
And here we are with our guest. We've got Coach Steve Strife. He is the head coach of Proctor football, coaches Proctor varsity baseball as well, and he is the father of 3 girls, and he's helping coach.
So lucky. So lucky.
So, we brought Steve on today because obviously he has a vast experience in coaching. He's been coaching for 25 years or so. Played college baseball at Cortland for a great coach, Steve Owens. Played a bunch of men's fast pitch softball, and he's been coaching a multitude of sports ever since. So, Steve, first question for you. When did you figure out that you wanted to coach? And when did you really get an interest for it? Was it early? Was it in college? Or kind of where did you get to where you are now coaching-wise?
When I was playing in college, obviously I was a phys ed major, and I knew that I wanted to coach just because I kind of wanted to give back to the people that gave stuff to me. One of the big influences in my life was Mike Michonne, who was my Adrian Post coach, and you don't realize at the time the amount of time that he gave to kids. Yeah. For free. So, I just felt like I wanted to give back. I wanted to be a phys ed teacher because I wanted to coach. And I wanted to be able to give back to, like people gave to me, I wanted to give back to people. And that's when I got out of college and stopped playing baseball and had a couple tryouts and figured out that I wasn't going to be a professional baseball player. I started coaching Adrian Post. And that was my first introduction into coaching. Obviously, it's, when you got to get into it, it's way different than playing. Way different. So.
What was the biggest transition for you coming from playing college baseball to then coaching kids, maybe 4 or 5 years younger than you at the time?
I think it was not knowing all the positions and knowing the strategy that went into it. Playing's way different. That's why catchers tend to be really good coaches because they have a little part of all parts of the game. I played center field. I was a very headsy player, knew everything that was going on, but as far as like catching technique and what's the first baseman supposed to be doing on certain things, it's different. There's a steep learning curve there, and some people handle it well and can grasp what's going on, and some people can't.
Yep. So you're a college baseball coach at Portland, Steve Owens, still coaching, very successful. Now he's up at Rutgers right now, coaching. Do you still keep in contact with him? Like, what are your thoughts on the way that you saw him as a coach and now seeing him, 20 years later, still coaching at a high level?
I talk to him all the time. We text back and forth. He's won 1,000 games. My coaching style comes a lot from him. I had really good coaches growing up. Dave Guido, Proctor Baseball, has 500 wins. Mike Michonne, Adrian Post Baseball, has 1,400, 1,500 American Legion wins. The assistant baseball coach at Cortland was Joe Brown. He's now the head coach. He was the assistant coach when I was there. He has over 800 wins. Those 4, I was lucky. You played for two of the best coaches ever from around here, and 2 coaches that, at a college level, national level, have a lot of wins. Right. So, I think you watch them and you watch them figure out how to win games, right, and how to coach kids, and try to figure out how we make kids better to win games. So I take a little piece of all of them, but a lot of it comes from Coach Owens.
Right. Oh, that's good. I mean, we've all been blessed to have great coaches that shape us. Whether they're good or bad, you want to learn something. Right. So you've been actually lucky enough as a coach to have one of your players go play for Coach Owens, right? So how did that come about?
Multiple players. Yeah, we've had multiple players. Yeah, I mean, I think people kind of get it twisted where they think that players who played for certain coaches just call them up and it just happens. And and sometimes it does, but at the level that Coach Owens is at, it doesn't happen like that. Like there's scholarship money. There's guys that there's how much do I have? Even like at the level at Cortland, I've had guys go there. Danny Maycock's gone there. Jason Simone's gone there. Coached all those guys. Anthony Coramato was there. But as far as Cortland goes, like my nephew Ryan, who probably should have played at Cortland.
Yeah.
He was told at one point he wasn't good enough to play there.
I remember that.
And you know what? At the time, it just is what it is. He didn't fit there at the time. And Scott Landers, who I played with at Oswego, I played with at Cortland. We're good friends as the coach at Oswego. He took him, and he's been, it's been a good marriage.
Yeah.
Coming to the next thing, I mean, your nephew Ryan Enos is probably one of, if not the best blue sock that we've had the last 3 years or so, coming back again. And I remember going through that with Dan Savit, who runs PBR. He asked me about him, like, this kid's a Division I kid, but he's also a kid you got to watch play 4 or 5 times. He doesn't necessarily blow up the metric boards when you're doing a showcase, when some kids do, but might not be able to play at that level. So, there's so many things with recruiting these days, but how much do you think it's lost in translation? Because there's no perfect way to get recruited. I mean, I know for me coaching Division I, there was players that really competed well in practice that might not have blown up the metrics. But then there's kids who were just phenomenal metrically but struggled when we hit live stuff.
I guess you don't know, and that's the hard part about coaching. You don't know. Like at the Division III level, at level JUCO, you can be wrong. At a level like Coach Owens coaches at, you can't be wrong, because if you're wrong, you just lost. You got to keep that kid for 4 years, and you can't recruit another kid. So, recruiting is, the metrics and all that stuff are great. They're great, but as far as judging a kid's character, it's getting in there and watching them. And that's the hard part with Ryan. Ryan didn't play travel baseball. So, he's 5'9", 5'10". He would have needed to go and play travel baseball, which we had him set up and he didn't want to do it. I understand. He needed to go and do that and have a coach watch him 4, 5, 6 games in a row and be like, you know what? Man, that kid, he just keeps doing that.
Yeah.
Like he's really good. Yeah. You see a big guy do something once well, you think they're going to do it all the time, and that's what happens. Big guys get recruited, guys that can run fast, guys that can throw hard, but the small parts of the game, that's what wins you games. Right. And it's hard. That's a hard judgment to make.
Yep.
So with that, Ryan was kind of the exception because he didn't end up playing travel baseball. So what would you tell parents nowadays? You think it's a necessity to play travel ball? With the exception of of Ryan, do you think it's an absolute thing that they must do?
It's not an absolute necessity, but because you can go and there's avenues to go. There's PBR, there's camps, there's clinics. One of the big things for high school kids is if you want to go to a specific place, you probably should go to their summer camp or clinic, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, because that's where they identify kids. But in the grand scheme of things, if you don't know what you want to do and you want some exposure, and you don't do travel basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is, you need to go do like PBR stuff, some other avenues like top 100 or whatever, stuff like that. Because honestly, if again back to Coach Owens, he goes and sits at Diamond Nation for 6 weekends in a row. He doesn't recruit. He literally doesn't. He'll come. If he gets a guy like me or someone he trusts, hey, come watch this kid. He'll spend some time watching a specific kid, but overall, he doesn't need to. Kids come to at that level. Kids come to those people.
I think that nowadays everybody, especially me, years ago, like my son's doing hitting camp right now, and I remember talking to a friend of mine who had put his kid in travel baseball at like the age of 7, and I said, listen, when should I put my son in the travel baseball game? And he goes, and I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, Tom, if I could do it all over again, I would start at him later than what I did. Because now, unfortunately, that son is, he loves baseball, he plays it, but he's not playing it at the intensity that he used to.
See, I'm at that point now, and I've told Brian this a lot of times. I've talked to my wife about it. My twin daughters are 13, they're turning 14, and they've always played. They play soccer, they play softball, and my wife's saying, why aren't you outside doing more with them? I'm like, I could make them absolute beasts at 12 years old. From 10 to 12, they're going to hate it. This is the first year that we've, me and Brian ran that clinic here in all through the winter, 2 or 3 times a week, and the kids have really gotten a lot better from that clinic, the technique stuff that we do, and my kids have made a pretty big jump, and now I think it's when they see themselves doing good during the game, that's when it's kind of all makes sense and it's worth it. Yeah, it clicks. They're like, this is worth it. Or they go to their high school tryouts and they're like, hey, Dad, we're better than the girls that are seniors. I'm like, well, you've put a lot of time in and you've been coached, but I don't know if they would like it as much if we did it at 8 and 9 years old. And it's kind of like the business end of it. It's kind of like they're selling it. There's a business there. Mm-hmm. There's a business aspect there, and people are taking advantage of it. And it's weird. I mean, there's money involved, and people are there to take the money, but it's not always the best thing for the kid. It's not a necessity. I mean, but there's kids like Bryce Harper. I mean, that kid was a sensation since he's been 8 years old. He's played travel. I mean, but that's one guy. Imagine how many kids got burnt out at 17 years old or just quit at 15. I know a lot of kids quit at 14, 15, 16 years old. They just don't love it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I get people that I see parents a lot of times, and I had a short video about it before. I feel like a lot of times when they're young, the parents want it more than the kids. And when people ask me, like, when should I start to get them involved in lessons or clinics? I said, when they start to ask for it. Like when they start to ask for it or show that they want to do some stuff on their own, then it's time to start to maybe put some money into it and see how they can take it. But until then, you might burn them out, or they get to 16, 17 years old and they're like, what, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think, the approach you've taken with your girls and some other people ends up working out better in the end. Because, if they don't want to do it, it doesn't matter how good you expose them to.
I don't think you can, certain kids stick out and they're elite. And some of them don't do anything. Yeah. Some of them are just, there could be a kid walking here right now that has never done a lesson, a camp or clinic. He's just hit balls in his backyard with his dad, who is just a superior kid. Right. And, and there's also kids that work really, we'll use Division I as a measuring stick. There's kids that work harder than kids that are Division I kids that can't play at the Division I level. They just can't. Right. They just can't do it. No matter how many lessons, clinics, camps, weightlifting sessions, strength and conditioning, they're just not capable. They don't have the ability, and parents really want that for their kids, but it's not always in the cards. Yeah. It's hard.
Right. Basically, the point is when the kid wants, when the player wants to do it. You're a dad. We're all dads sitting here, and I struggled with that. And said to myself, do I get harder on him? Do I keep doing more with him? But we're here 3 days a week, and he wants to. If we're home and he's on the weekend and he's fidgeting doing something, he wants to go do something. Yeah. I set up a cage downstairs in my basement so he could hit, but it's all on him. So basically, I think the point is that us as parents and coaches, we have to let them do what they want to do at that age, at 10, 11. Right. We coach them along.
And there's no specific timeline. People are like, I'm behind the 8 ball. No, a lot of the recruiting rules have changed over the last couple of years, especially with COVID. There's so much backlog of recruiting that it's not as a rush.
It's sad for the 22s, 23s, 24s. They're backed right up. There's the limited scholarships in softball and baseball that there was are even more limited because of the graduate students and the extra COVID years. So it's from talking to a bunch of coaches, from talking to football coaches and baseball coaches that I talk to all the time, that recruit my Proctor kids, they're thinking like 24, 25 is going to start. The extra years are going to be, they're going to be used up, and kids. And unfortunately, there's not even roster spots for kids, in every college sport. At Division III and Division, there's not even roster spots.
I've had, there's a couple of Power 5 schools I've talked to for girls that have been training here that have literally told me they don't know if they're going to be able to recruit anybody in certain classes, because if everybody comes back that has eligibility, they're going to have 30-some girls. Now, after the season goes through, you're going to get girls out of the transfer portal, you're going to get girls that just decide not to use it, but they're not sure, so they have a hard time. There's going to be really light classes,
and they can't be wrong. That's we go back to that point. The one really interesting thing that I read yesterday on a website, or that they're having the transfer portal kids. People are putting camps together for just the transfer portal kids in baseball, basketball, and football. And colleges are like, that's a great idea.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I think right now in the Division I transfer portal for football, there's like 2,300 kids. So they're going to have a chance to go to. I think there's one in Virginia Beach and there's one in Vegas for football specifically, and they're going to be able to have a chance to go to Virginia Beach. Pretty much every Division I school in the country has already committed to going there. The coaches are like, that's a great idea.
That's great.
So that's going to further hurt the high school kid. Yeah. That's why JUCOs are popping right now, because there's no place for the kids to go.
Right. So obviously, as a coach, you have helped train, coached many kids that have gone to play on in college. But more recently, you got a couple of kids from baseball that are going D1 next year, and also you got a Division I football kid that you've coached too recently. Talk a little bit about them and kind of their path, things that they've done that have helped them get to where they are.
Todd Abraham, Proctor football, baseball, basketball kid, outstanding athlete. Father's Byron Abraham, played at University of Notre Dame, and then he finished his football career at Syracuse. He's one of our assistant football coaches. He's our offensive coordinator. He's awesome. Todd's a weird story. He didn't play any travel stuff.
Yeah.
So Byron Abraham, and there's Steve Owens again. Steve Owens and Byron Abraham are best friends.
Yeah.
They played high school baseball, basketball, football together at Sequoia before Byron transferred to Notre Dame high school for his senior year. And, Byron called up Coach Owens and said, hey, listen, Todd's, I had talked to Coach Owens quite a bit about Todd. Todd's outstanding. What do I do with him? And, he had tried out for the East Coast Lumberjacks, but it's a really big financial burden. And Coach Owens has a really good rapport with the guys out in South Troy Dodgers. He said, I'll make a connection for you, go play with South Troy. So Todd started playing with South Troy, and here's another weird baseball thing. One of my friends who played at Oswego and we competed against each other, Ryan Herba, is the assistant baseball coach at Binghamton. He calls me up out of the blue. He goes, dude, I'm sitting here watching the best player I've seen all summer in the Stan Musial Connie Mack World Series out in Connecticut. And I go, Todd Abraham. Yeah. He goes, he's got like 24 hits in like 5 games. He goes, he can't be that good. I go, he's not that good. I said, but he's good. Yeah. And he's like, he's the best player here. He goes, and I never heard of him. He goes, and that was on a Saturday and Sunday. Monday he went back. Tuesday Todd had a scholarship offer, 65% at Binghamton, which is an outstanding offer.
That's right.
And he accepts it 2 weeks later. So that's how that weirdly works. I knew the guy.
Right.
We competed against each other.
Sure.
The year I was all-region, all-American, Ryan Herba was the same thing.
Right.
And we had battled against them. They had good teams. Danny Booby Santiago, he played for me as a sophomore in football, and then because of COVID, he went out to Arizona. He just got a scholarship to Holy Cross. Kind of fell to Holy Cross because without this transfer portal stuff and the COVID stuff, he's probably a ACC, lower end Power 5 guy. Yeah. But he ain't paying for college.
Right.
So those kids like that were, those kids are kids we're really proud of. Vincenzo Castronovo, Chaz is still playing. He's at Siena. He was at Bryant with Coach Owens, transferred to Siena. He's playing. He's a Proctor kid. Our kids have done a pretty good job. Yeah. Proud of our guys.
Peterson too. He's going.
Yep. Brandon Peterson. He's going to NJIT. Again, another kid that's like probably 92 to 94 right now, and fell to NJIT because of the portal. I mean, he played East Coast Lumberjacks. He was in front of everyone. There's just not money.
Right.
Brandon's outstanding. He was my quarterback in the fall, and now he's at P27 in South Carolina. They're going to play 55 games. So, good kids. We've coached some good kids, and the kids have obviously worked hard to get where they are, and they're talented kids.
So so just kind of a preview. Baseball season, practice just started for you. You had practice earlier today. How's your team looking for the spring? And then give us a quick preview for next year. How's the Proctor football team looking for next fall?
Spring baseball at Proctor will be very good again. We started 7 sophomores. They're all back. We have some really good young kids that all played on the Utica Hurricanes team. we kind of left them guys all on JVs, and we'll be good. We'll compete for a sectional championship in baseball this year, probably next year too, because we have all the kids back. Football, we're just getting back into our weight rooms back open. Our trainer that we employ to train our kids and all the Olympic lifts and stuff like that. Peyton LaRue, great. Mohawk Valley Wellness, he's awesome. Peyton's great. He trains our guys. It's awesome. We'll be improved. We were 4-4 last year. In the fall, hopefully we'll be 5-2, 6-1 in the league. We'll get our guy. We got a lot of kids coming back there too. But I think the biggest problem with that last couple of years was the COVID thing. We just got killed. We just got killed training wise.
Right.
So
awesome. So you played college baseball, and then afterwards you dipped, for about a decade or so into men's fast pitch softball.
Yeah. I coached Adrian Post for 10 years, and then at about 32, 33, we were having kids. My wife and I were having the twins, and I couldn't really coach Adrian Post anymore. Too much of a time commitment, and then I started playing fast pitch softball.
So tell us, because I could talk about it for days, but tell us your experience with it, the transition, the differences, going from baseball to fast pitch, kind of the times you've had, and just give us a little feedback on your experiences you've had in the softball world.
I transitioned pretty well because I've been coached and I'd played at a high level. I had a short swing. I had the skills to play defense. And, when I first started playing, I said, this is awesome. I mean, this is baseball on a smaller field, faster. And then I, played in the league for probably the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then we went to a tournament, and we started seeing some Canadian guys, and it was eye-opening. This is like, I think the first time we faced Garrity, I fouled one off my second. I fouled one off my second at bat, and I was proud of myself. I'm like, that thing is coming in there, and it goes up, it goes down, it goes. I'm not telling you, it's difficult.
And these guys are throwing mid-80s.
Oh, it's high 70s, low 80s, and it's the reaction time is, if you foul one off, you're good. And then I would watch, Dennis Williams, Tommy Haver, some of the really good players in our league, all the guys, Daraway, and they would hit home runs. And I am like, that is ridiculous. Like, Dennis Williams is, people don't know who that guy is, and that guy is one of the best players I've ever, and I started playing with and against him. He was 6-7 years older than me, and I started playing with him when he was older. In the first game we played, I'm like, that's a guy right there. That's a dude right there. That's a dude.
I know you used to call him the equalizer because he'd go out there, throw a shutout, and then hit a home run.
A one-hitter and a home run, we'd win 1-0 or lose 1-0. And when we played a few tournaments together, I'm like, this guy's awesome. Guy's awesome.
And that's the great part about, playing that is, a lot of my closest friends now played. And obviously I was exposed to you, coaching at Adrian. I coached with your brother-in-law at Oriskany. So I've known your nephews for a while, and now we're coaching together. So, this whole thing, you talk about with teammates and coaching with each other, and it's a huge network, and it's a huge kind of culture, brotherhood that where, you have fun, you learn stuff, you keep in contact, and you never know how it could benefit you down the road.
The full circledness of it is so crazy where, like, Ryan Herbert just calls me up about Todd Abraham, or a kid that I coached, somewhere down the line, he's at a different place, and it's just, we go to camps, clinics, and stuff like that, and then you just start talking to people, and you know the same people. You might not know the person you're talking to, but you all know, and we're text messaging, hey, I just met, great guy. Hey, help him out. It's just, it's
Not a network.
it's huge. It's like when you watch the NFL football, the coaches just keep getting recycled because I hired you as an assistant when I was a head coach, and now I'm not a head coach anymore, and now I'm having you're hiring me as your offensive coordinator, and hey, look at who's the quality control guy. It's the guy that I hired son, or the guy that hired me son. It's a big network.
Right. And that's just part of life. Networking, communicating, that'll benefit you your whole life and everything. So obviously the name of this podcast is DaddyBall. So you've coached a long time, and now I remember having this conversation, a couple years ago when we started the Utica Comets. Says I didn't really want to coach any team specifically. Like, I coached college ball a while, I was coaching at Syracuse, I left and I didn't want to go down and coach a bunch of 12-year-olds. But, you had the twins, wanted you guys involved, a lot for your knowledge and to help the program. Got our buddy Wayne, his daughters are involved. And I'm like, great, these guys can coach one of our teams. But both of you were like, I don't want anything to do with it. both the daughters pitch.
Yeah.
I don't want anything. I don't want to write a lineup. When most dads want that control.
No.
So he didn't. Wayne didn't. So I'm like, I'll take it. So
I like being the assistant coach. I mean, I'm the assistant baseball coach at Proctor. Coach Guido does all, and I'm the head football coach at Proctor, and it's constant fires. You're just putting out constant fires. Yeah. I like when it's not my decision. I like sitting back and coaching the positions and moving people around. And hey, you make the lineup. I have no problem with that. I don't, I've done it enough where I'm comfortable with you doing it, and you do a good job of it, and we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's a coin flip. Well, should we put her in the lineup or not? Well,
yeah, right.
the good thing with travel softball or we only have a certain amount of kids.
Right.
You only got 2 or 3 kids on the bench. High school's different. You keep 18. There's 9 that aren't playing. It's hard. It's very difficult.
Right. So what's been the biggest difference for you coaching? Football can be a very high-tense sport. Most coaches you see yell more frequently, and then baseball, guys you can push. Now you're coaching younger girls. What's been the biggest transition for you, or difficulties, or not? Just give us some feedback on that.
I'm pretty much the same, other than some language things with the girls, and I try not to yell at the girls. But we're getting to the point with our girls where we've had them for 2 years, and I said, girls, I asked them in the fall. I said, do you want to be coached, or do you want me to be nice, us to be nice? Yeah. And most of them on the team are competitive, and they're like, you know what, we want to be coached. I said, well, there's going to be some yelling involved. I think explaining to them, I do the same thing with our football and baseball kids. We're not yelling at you because we don't like you. We're yelling at you because that's what kind of motivates people in my experience. Well, I always had coaches that yelled. My father yelled. I have no problem with it. I think our society now I think the kids just take it the wrong way. The difficult in coaching my own kids, it's more at home. Because between the lines, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. They're not really my kids when I'm coaching them. Yeah. The one thing I will say is, when you have a daughter that's a pitcher, very difficult. It's hard to watch her out there throw strikes, and we make an error or drop a ball, and it's like, that's been really hard for me. Yeah. The other part of it's been easy. Yeah. It's been easy. Other than that,
how have they taken it? Because obviously, I think they, your girls don't talk a lot. Especially one talks more than the other. But is it difficult for them to have dad coaching them? Do they come home? Do they complain about stuff? Maybe they talk to your wife about stuff. Is it harder on them? Because you seem to handle it well.
They've learned to appreciate it more. Yeah. I think it's come, again, full circle. They've come to know the things that they're getting coached at an advanced level.
Yeah.
We're both, you've coached at a high level, I've coached at a high level. They're getting coached our kids are getting coached at a high level, especially my kids. They've learned to appreciate it because what we've told them has kind of worked out. Right. This is why we're doing things, and and now they can pick stuff out. They go to their high school softball tryouts, and they're like, well, that girl doesn't have a really good swing, and she doesn't get jumps on balls, and she doesn't do pre-pitch stuff, and she doesn't do her, so they're they get it. Obviously, everything can't be roses, right. But they come home and my wife has no idea about any of it. And, it's just trying to explain the things to her, why we took this kid out, or we did. And it's right. At the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, it doesn't matter. Sure. Yeah. We're going to play tomorrow. Right. That's the thing with travel. We're going to play tomorrow. We got 2 games tomorrow. So, if we played 3 games today and you didn't play every game, still got 2 tomorrow. Yeah. Exactly. Before, when we were kids, you played 1 game, and if you didn't play, you didn't play, and your parents weren't happy, and
days later you play.
Right, 3 days later you play. You play. We won game, one tournament in the spring or whatever. Last spring, we played 5 games in a day.
Right.
There was parents that were mad that their kids didn't play all 5 games, and I'm like, holy cow! Do you know how many reps these kids? Literally in one day, these kids saw so many different situational repetitions. I looked at them, I'm like, dude, this is kind of awesome. Yeah. Like they just saw like that, like bunt coverage 4 times in a game when you can't replicate that in practice. So it was.
Yeah, you know, it's tough because a lot of times parents they're worried about their kid in the moment all the time, every time. Us coaches are trying to worry about 11 or 12.
We're looking at the bigger picture.
Right.
We're looking at the bigger picture.
So if you...
That brings up a good point. Like, it's like trying to explain to my wife, who's a layman or a laywoman, that I have to worry about everyone. Mm-hmm. Right. You are worried about your 2 daughters. Yeah. And as the coach of the team, I'm worried about the other 11 girls, and it's hard. It's very, and you know, high school, in the high school arena of it, I get it. I've had to like take kids and move them places because I have 10 kids coming back, and these kids, you know, could they play varsity? Yeah, they can play varsity, but these kids are the ones that are going to play, right? And it's not their time yet. And my wife, parents in general, can't understand that.
And that's what I give you props for too, because you know, like one of the stigmas about DaddyBall is, oh, my kid isn't playing where I want him to play, or they're not playing as much as I want them to play. I'm just going to go start my own team, you know, because then they're really worried about their kid if they're not playing shortstop, if they're not batting third. You know, which is what we've tried to do is, and you do a great job of taking care of the team, the girls, and the organization. So you know that's.
Well, my opinion of it is I want qualified parents to coach, because who else is going to go to Allentown for 5 days? Right. You're going to expect some college kid or some just random guy to take your kids to Allentown for 5 days and coach them for free? Because no one gets paid. Right. You know, very little people get paid, so that's the hard part about this.
Sure. So if you were to give any advice to a dad or mom that are coaching their kid in travel sport, baseball, softball, or whatever sport, give some advice on how to bridge that gap, how to keep things not so tense at home and not so tense in the game.
The home thing's tough because I think there's got to be a level, a time frame of decompression for the kids, and then I ain't gonna lie to you, I've yelled at my kids before, but you know, only because you want them to be better. I think there should be some time of, you know, maybe on the way home, don't talk about it.
That's kind of what I've involved with my son, is because I used to, you know, as soon as we got in the car, when he made mistakes, I would go at him and jump right at him, and it's hard not to, but I've learned the last couple of years, like, listen, okay, we're going to take this car ride home. You're going to go do whatever and decompress and go. And we've all done it. We've all done it. So they know what they did at that, you know, at the kids' ages now. You know, Harper's not there yet, but my son and your girls, they know what they did wrong, and to just give them 5-10 minutes of breathing air and then have the discussion with them. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to do it. So
when you tell them the right, when you're giving them the right, when you're telling them the right things, and then it comes full circle, it kind of makes it a lot easier moving forward. I'm assuming that a lot of parents that aren't like us that played and coached and have a lot of knowledge. You know, some of the kids that are probably getting, you know, it's probably not awesome for them, you know, sometimes. But you know, that's just kind of what it is. I mean, as a kid, I think you have to appreciate your parents, the time and the money that they put into it for you. Very hard. It's only come up in the last 15 years because it's never happened before.
Yeah. So, a couple quick segments up because we're running out of time. So, what we're doing is we're putting together. It's March Madness. It's already started. There's already been some good upsets. One of the best parts about sports is postseason time. Everybody loves filling out brackets. Everybody loves debating, having conversations about everything these days. So we are spoiled in the Utica area to have some tremendous food, restaurants, pizza, a lot of things. So we are putting together a Sweet 16 bracket of the best pizza places in the area. Now, we want you to throw us a couple of your favorite spots, and what makes a good pizza for you? Like what makes a good pizza for you? What are you looking for?
I go to Oskiny's 4 times a week.
I knew he was going to say it first. I don't know why, but I just...
Those guys, it's great. It's family run. The people are great. I walk in, they yell your name.
Oldest pizzeria
it's awesome.
in the country.
Okay?
Second oldest.
I go there 4 times a week. I like the upside down pizza.
I'm a Joe's guy, but
Yeah, same type deal. Same type deal.
My wife hates upside down pizza, and it annoys me because now I got to go eat it by myself.
I grew up in North Utica, so obviously I eat Franco's. When I'm at Proctor and when we get pizza, we get pizza from Rosario's. I like that style pizza. And Johnny's Downtown, it has grown on me, and you know, that thin style pizza is good. Venice is also good.
yeah,
I go to like 3 places to eat.
sure.
I go to Oskin Eats, I go to Mellows for subs, and I will go to Joel's or Barajo for Spanish food. Always very, and we go to Zena's on Wednesdays. So those are my places.
So do you ever cook or not?
Lunch, it's just lunch.
Yeah.
It's just lunch.
Right. So quick, we're gonna extra innings here. We're going to name out between me and Tom. We're gonna try to give you some quick hitters. It'll be a yes or no, or just a quick answer. First thing comes to your head. So we're gonna go back and forth here.
This is always fun.
Games on the line, okay? Where base hit wins it, or a great play ends it. Would you rather would you want the ball hits you in the field, or do you want to be up to bat?
I want to be in the field.
Want to be in the field?
Yep.
Okay. And you were a center fielder. Yep. Yep.
I'd rather be too.
In the field?
I'd rather be in the field.
Yeah. I've thought about this hard because I've been on the end of it. Well, I'm a catcher, so I'm back there.
So am I. So that's what
I'm
saying.
back there calling the game, and I trust myself catching and calling it, but I'm also not in control.
I trust myself both ways, but if I'm going to get a good jump, I'm going to make a play.
I'd want to be up to bat because I know that I could call the right pitch, but my pitch is still got to execute, so it's a little bit out of my control. Watch baseball on TV or in person?
That's always a hard one for me, too.
I like to watch it in person, but I'm so spoiled from coaching. I like to sit on a bucket. I go to Major League Baseball games. That's not fun.
Yeah.
It's at a weird angle. I like to watch it at a coach's angle.
Sure.
Be in the dugout, sitting down, watching.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Hard watching it.
Ground level, especially up.
Right.
With that, what do you of all the changes that have been going on in the MLB? What do we think about the shift?
Rule change.
I think you should be able to play wherever you want. I think you should drag bunt against the shift if you're a left-handed hitter. Stop him from doing it.
And again, and that's the biggest thing is we had Joey Gallo go on it, and
There's no money. There's no money in bunting.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Like, you get paid for doubles, home runs, and RBIs.
Yep.
That's why. That's the stupid part about it.
Instead of betting the shift, why don't you bunt, make them come back, play normal, and then swing away?
Yeah.
Like, it's very simple to me, but
Then they're giving up at bats.
that's their opinion. Yeah, so, but we could go on for days about that.
Yep.
Universal DH, like it or hate it?
I was going to go with that.
Like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
I've
Why
always
should
thought it
pitchers
should
hit?
be that way. I've always thought.
Why should pitchers hit? They don't even practice.
Yep.
True.
Unless you're
Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unless you're
Yeah. What's another one? Do you like that aspect of the game? Do you think there should be more of it? Or do you not like it?
What?
Shohei Ohtani doing both?
Oh, if you can do both, do both.
Sure.
Awesome.
Right.
I mean, that's what you did growing up. I mean, like
When we played you.
For him to be able to do that at that level is Hall of Fame caliber if he plays 12 years doing it. I mean, no one else can do it. It's ridiculous.
Hardest pitch to hit, baseball. In your opinion, for you.
Change up.
Change up.
Can't see spin. I could read spin on everything else.
Fast pitch softball.
The drop was tough.
yeah.
And that has a similar movement to a splitter in
Drop was
baseball.
tough.
Yeah.
From a left-hander was the rise curve. Dennis used to
yeah.
throw me that rise curve. I had to learn how to keep my front shoulder on it. But when we started playing some really competitive, the drop ball guys, I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
What were you throwing me in there when it went that way?
Couple drops.
That was drops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't play fast pitch, so I'm going like, but I watched it and then.
Well, yeah, the drop that goes down and in.
I was good at baseball hitting because I could read the spin. I knew the ball that was coming, and the change-ups are hard because they have a fastball spin, but they don't go as fast. The curveball has a different spin, but to be able to get better at fast pitch softball, I had to learn the spins because I could see the spins, so I didn't know them. That was the hard part.
Gotcha. Okay.
Favorite sport to watch on TV?
College football. Starting to be girls softball though.
Yeah.
Watch a lot of it. No, it's good.
What do you like about that? Because the ratings for that is way higher than college baseball right now.
Fast, and it's you get to see some things you don't normally see. You see the slappers are in there. See a real dominant pitcher. There's a lot of parity in it.
Sure. Oh yeah.
What's your go-to dinner? Favorite dinner? This is
taking
your
all my
birthday dinner.
questions.
I'm sorry.
You're doing good, man. Keep it up. Well, I'll get more in the next
You got
episode.
the next one. You got the next one.
Delmonico steak dinner. The Delmonico steak. That's what I get.
How do you like the steak?
Medium rare.
Good.
Perfect. Okay. I was going
All
to
right.
kick you off if you wanted.
I know, right? Yeah, we were deleting everything if anything was over medium. So
Raw.
Yeah.
Mooing.
Moving.
All right. Two more questions.
I'd keep going. You're taking all mine. I literally had three. The last three you've asked, I wanted to ask.
If you could either do one more game, coach in a final, play in a final, which one would you rather do?
Playing. Hate coaching. I got control if I. No, I'm serious. That's why when I went back to play fast pitch softball, I'm like, this is awesome. Or like when I went back to when I started training MMA. I trained MMA for 13, 14 years. I enjoyed being coached. I just enjoyed being coached. I enjoyed competing. Coaching's competing, but it's not competing, and you don't really have a lot of control as a coach. You're only as good as your players. As far as like playing, like that's being coached. I liked being coached. I was a pleaser. I wanted to please the coach.
Well, I got a question.
Go ahead.
So since Ryan's coming back to the Blue Sox again, some predictions for this upcoming season for them.
For him,
For him and the team.
I think the Blue Sox will be good again. Doug does a good job coaching them. They bring guys in. It's a top-notch organization. I mean, from top to bottom, the fans, all that stuff. Ryan's Ryan. Ryan's going to hit, in college, he's going to hit anywhere between 350 and 450. In the summer league, he's going to hit anywhere between 330 and 400. And he's going to play hard because he loves baseball.
Quick word of advice to young up-and-coming athletes right now. If you can give a quick word of advice.
Seek out some good coaching. Be able to sift through the guys that actually know what they're talking about and the guys that think they know what they're talking about. Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do.
Yep.
In this area, we got a lot of great coaches, but the thing is that a lot of people don't know who those.
But because of the money involved, there's a lot of people doing it, and it's not. They're not doing it. They're not doing a great job of it.
Steve, it was great.
Yes,
Great
thank you
to have
very
on.
much for joining us.
Appreciate
it.
All right.
Episode 1, DaddyBall.
Oh, I almost said DaddyBall.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please like here.
Subscribe up here.
And to see other episodes and shorts, click here.
Thanks a bunch.